According to the Daily Telegraph, 59% of women would rather give up being intimate than shopping.
Well, with shopping, you're always guaranteed to get the right size.
If you've never seen a sumo match either on television or live in person, I highly recommend it. It's one of the most exciting sports I've ever seen on television, and perhaps the most exciting sport I've ever seen live. The 1,500-year-old Shinto-derived sport essentially has two ways of winning: by pushing the other man out of the ring or making sure that the other man touches the ground first. Of course, there are 82 different ways to do these things, a list which is called the Kimarite, but 9 of the most popular you can see here. The Tsukidashi, which is basically a hand chop to the neck that forces the man out. There's the Oshidashi, which is basically what you would see in a pull block on the NFL and Sundays. There's the Yorikiri, which is basically owning the guy by picking up by the belt, the obi, and pushing him or lifting him out of the ring and setting him down, something that Asashoryu made a living at. You can see the list continues, but it's an exciting sport because basically it's who gets leverage and who wins out in a test of man versus man, or should I say boy versus boy. My first few years in Japan, as I've spoken about before, were years where I was trying to make the country change to what I was used to. But what I didn't realize is that what I was used to was a norm that's very different from their norm, and maybe even a norm that wasn't very, dare I say, healthy. The more time that I've spent in this country, one thing that I've come to understand is that they have created a safe space, or several safe spaces, for young boys to test their masculinity. When we say let boys be boys in the West, there's almost a negative connotation with it almost any time you say it. But here, you could hear the women cheering in the background. Those are mothers. They want their sons to grow up to be strong masculine entities. And in this kind of safe space, which is most likely at some kind of festival where people are relaxing and celebrating with their families, you can see these boys being encouraged by their mothers to test their boyhood, their masculinity. Something that's in stark contrast to the way that we see masculinity recently in the West.
Pull it out yet?
Pull it out, pull it out.
Open them.
No!
It's a boy.
People who don't do what I do don't care about this at all. And you're creating, and we talked about this 80-20 rule. What's happening to the 80%? You don't care.
Not good.
And the beauty is if I just get the man I want, if I just get the partner I want, if I just, I don't care. I don't care about what's happening with men. Let's bring attention back to women. That's what the detective did in that show.
Right.
And that is what society in Western cultures is unfortunately like. Most people only care about males or boys or men if they are their brother, their son, or their father, or their uncle, or their close friend.
I wanted to react to this particular post that's going around on social media right now, because when I see posts like these where essentially one day a young boy is going to wake up and see his mother wailing because she had a boy instead of a girl, and then if he can read, he's going to see a long list of comments essentially validating the fact that she wanted a girl because essentially boys are kind of defective, it points right back to the conversation that's being had between these two women and the gentleman here, that misandry has become so widely accepted that most people just see that as just baseline normal behavior.
This society, in the quest to be fair to women, to improve their rights, allow the worst representatives to take it to its furthest extreme.
Right.
Men should start in prison and work their way out.
when we talk so much about misogyny, most women can't tell you what the term is for a strong distaste and hatred for men. What's the term?
I'm so sick of useless men.
What's
Misandry.
the misandry? Being a misandrist.
These men irritate me. They are stupid, so stupid.
Most men's experiences that we keep labeling as incels, we keep labeling as misogynists, their experiences in co-worker situations, in the schools, dating, on dating apps, is that a lot of women are either misandrous or they're so reductionistic of men that if you don't have the money, you have no say, and you need to shut up.
According to the Daily Telegraph, 59% of women would rather give up being intimate than shopping.
Well, with shopping, you're always guaranteed to get the right size.
Why are standards so low for them?
And even if you do have the money, it's happy wife, happy life once I'm in your life.
Do you think men are important? Like for what? We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Round one, fight!
It's interesting that video games is the only place where men and women can fight each other and it's not considered toxic. Just game.
I'm going to list these things off, and I wrote them down to make sure I don't forget it. You don't care about mandatory paternity tests. You don't care about paternity fraud. You don't care about male suicide rates. You don't care about equalizing hard, laborious jobs outside. You don't want to equalize that. You don't care about what happens to people that are falsely accused, which is almost always exclusively men. You don't actually care about the declining school performance, the rise in ADHD diagnosis, and the psychiatric medication that comes from it. You don't care about the lack of homeless shelters for men. You don't care about the weaponization of the family court, the equal custodial rights, reproductive say for men, reduction in child support and alimony, pathologizing of just men and masculinity in general, negative attitudes towards even men that want a nuclear family. You don't think or care about any of these things. And I'm not even saying it's just the feminists that don't care about it.
Nobody
I'm
knows.
saying most people who don't do what I do don't care about this at all. And you're creating, and we talked about this 80-20 rule. What's happening to the 80%? You don't care.
Not good.
And the beauty is if I just get the man I want, if I just get the partner I want, if I just, I don't care. I don't care about what's happening with men. Let's bring attention back to women. That's what the detective did in that show.
If you've never heard the modern feminist call to arms song Labor, the chorus goes, all day, every day, therapist, mother, mate, nymph, then a virgin, nurse, then a servant, just an appendage, live to attend him so that he never lifts a finger, 24/7 baby machine, so he can live out his picket fence dreams. It's not an act of love if you make her, you make me do too much labor. That is the climate of the day. Is it any wonder why more and more boys are settling for video games? I have a lot of appreciation for my time in Japan because Japan has taught me a lot about me as not just a person, but as a man. It's shown me versions of masculinity that express itself in many different ways, but it's a masculinity that controls emotion. It's a masculinity that is stoic, and it's a masculinity that at times expresses itself in a loud, masculine, boisterous manner. Not always, but sometimes. And it's refreshing to see that in a country like Japan, they have places for young boys to learn to do the same. You see a picture like this, these are two young boys, probably about 2 or 3 years old, getting their first taste of what it's like to try and test their mettle, test their might in a society that supports it. Instead of being in a society where a mother will openly on social media lament the fact that she's not having a girl, and then have thousands of comments of women saying, I can understand why you don't want boys, because boys are fundamentally toxic. What's interesting to me is that in this kind of misandry land, you're going to have more and more young boys from a very young age realize that if this is not the place for me, then I'm not going to try hard in school. I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to withdraw from relationships. And if all of the young ladies really want me for is how good I look if I'm in that 20% in my wealth, or they're waiting for me in the 80% to acquire wealth so that they can essentially go shopping because they enjoy shopping more than being in a close, loving relationship with me, then why try it in the first place? There's going to be a time where misandry land needs some masculinity. It's unfortunate that in the West, much of that masculinity is being driven underground or worse, overseas. But they got to take it somewhere, because masculinity is us. And if you don't like it, then we have two choices: suppress it or take it somewhere else. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you next video. Take care, guys.